It reads as, you are the chief medical officer in a particular district which is presently under the grip of novel coronavirus COVID-19. The virus has reached its community transfer phase, and therefore the district has been kept under the red zone, which is the most vulnerable category. However, amidst the corona crisis, a certain section of the population in the district has not followed the social distancing norms prescribed by the state government, which has contributed to rapid increase in the number of daily positive cases. Hence, the state government has ordered you to ensure a speedy eviction of that section of the population out of the district to control the spread of the virus. This order has created a kind of quandary for you, as it goes against your basic ethical values of targeting a section of the population and forcefully evicting them from the district. However, if you fail to implement the order, it will be considered as dereliction of duty. Now, the questions are, under such circumstances, highlight the possible options that are available to you. And the second question reads as, what course of action would you follow under the given circumstances? It's 250 words, 20 marker. Ideal writing time would be 15 minutes or 12 to 15 minutes for this. Now, look here. It's a clear-cut case. It says that you are a CMO, and in your district, certain section of population has not followed the social distancing norms, and therefore it has created a problem for the administrators to contain the corona pandemic, and therefore the state government has ordered you to remove that section of the population. If you do not do that, it will be considered as dereliction of duty, but if you do that, then it would be compromising your ethics, because you feel that it would be like targeting a particular section of the population. This is a clear case of duty versus morality. It means which stance will you take under such circumstances. So, how to go about this case study? In any case study, the first thing that you need to do is you need to highlight the different stakeholders that are involved in the case. Now, you can divide the stakeholders into primary stakeholders, secondary stakeholders, tertiary stakeholders, or you can simply write stakeholders. Now, the stakeholders in this case is definitely you as the CMO, the section of the population which is to be removed, the population at large, the police and the administration because you need their help for the removal, and the state government. These are the stakeholders in this case. You can also have some secondary stakeholders like media. So, you can go by that way, you can divide as many stakeholders as you want. Then you should highlight the values that come into question. Now, the values here are, say, compassion, empathy, duty, all those kind of things, responsibility, accountability. These are the different values that come into the picture. Now, everyone can highlight different kinds of values, and as per what stance they are about to take in the case study. Do not highlight the values and then do not mention the values. Don't do that you highlight the values on one hand and do not mention them in your options or in your course of action. You need to incorporate them. You should also highlight the ethical dilemmas, the dilemma like here morality versus duty and other kinds of dilemma that you can think of. So, I am not going into the details of these things because these are just the platforms to write the answer. This is not asked in the question. If you do not write it, yet you write two very good points for the questions, you may get the marks. But if you do that, you create the context for your answer. Clear? You can also highlight that under what certain present circumstances this case has been modeled. So, you can think of something like that, but it would be advisable to desist from calling names of any particular section or of any particular political party or any particular state government in your answer, because it destroys the apolitical nature of your answer. Clear? So, let us now move to the first question. It says that under the circumstances, highlight the possible options that are available to you. Now, these are the options that are available to you under these circumstances. The option is follow the orders and evict the particular group of people. Now, this is the first option. What are the merits in doing so? It may control the situation, meeting the expectations of the political leaders. Obviously, the state government is run by political leaders, avoiding dereliction of duty. So, these are the merits. What are the demerits? will create ethical dissonance as forceful eviction is against human dignity, and human dignity, you know, is linked to human values. May even further arouse communal tensions because it would be seen as targeting one section of the population. So you may control corona, but you may flare communal rages. Anyhow, the second option is take time to control the situation and assess whether there is a need to remove them. Now the opportunities here is, or you can say the merits here are, opportunity to show administrative leadership because you are taking time and you are taking the case into your hands, showing impartial attitude of administration because you are not just coming to a conclusion on the basis of the state government's order, because the state government's order may also be politically motivated, but as a civil servant you need to be, or as a public servant you need to be apolitical in your approach. The demerit would be delayed response can give time to wrongdoers to spread violence or to spread further problems. Anyhow, the third option is not following the orders and allowing the group to stay. If you do that, it would be avoiding moral dissonance. Obviously, it would be the merit. It means you are not targeting a particular group of the population, but you are also escaping what? You are accountable for the loss of the lives, because if you allow them and if they are not following the social distancing norms, then the pandemic is now growing at a rapid scale and it may take a toll on the number of lives. Similarly, it may lead to political backlash against the CMO because you have not followed the orders of the higher authorities. The last option that is available to you is informing appropriate higher authority and seeking direct government intervention. The merits would be avoiding any conflict with the political leaders. The demerit would be not showing accountable behavior, you are just passing the ball, not showing escapist tendency by avoiding the situation. It means you are just moving the ball to your higher authorities and you are just sitting idle. It means you are not performing your duty. Do you understand this? Now, out of these four options, if you see, these two are extremes. It means follow the order, do not follow the order. Both of them are extremes. And if you go by Aristotelian golden mean, the extremes are always vices. This is escapist tendency, and therefore you are just passing the ball to your senior authorities. It means that you are not taking your duty seriously. So from deontological viewpoint, this action becomes wrong. You need to mention the scholars and the moral thoughts while backing your arguments, because if you just write कि मुझे लगता है ये वाला सबसे सही है, then you will not get your marks. So you can understand that from the Aristotelian golden mean viewpoint, these two becomes extreme, and this you see from the deontological viewpoint is wrong. Therefore, the second option is the best option. Why? Because it gives you the opportunity to highlight or express your administrative leadership. It also shows impartial attitude. These are good traits of character. Also, you see that delayed response can give time to wrongdoers to spread violence. But obviously, if you highlight or if you perform your administrative duties well, you can reduce the impact of the demerit in this action. Therefore, under these circumstances, this is the best action that you need to follow. Now, let us go to the second part of the question, the right course of action. Now, what you need to do if you want to follow the second action. Perform first-hand investigation. It means just don't believe on the reports, say media reports or any letter written to you, but you go there at the ground and look for yourself. Increase the vigilance mechanisms that you can do with the help of the workforce, or you can call for extra workforce. Run information and educational campaigns against the disease, against the pandemic, and therefore you can educate the people and thus stop the spread. Create biobubbles or buffer zones. Biobubbles means whoever are infected, you can quarantine them, and by quarantining them, you can thus create or isolate them from the other non-infected part of the population. This is known as a biobubble or a buffer zone, and therefore you can stop the spread of the virus. That is what is ultimately sought from you. Adopt zero tolerance against wrongdoers, because if you do all of these things and you put a blind eye against what is going on, then you are not manifesting good administrative skills. Therefore, you should have a zero tolerance against wrongdoers, because you are taking these steps, and if someone does wrong, definitely you can take appropriate actions as per law. Now, be in constant touch with appropriate authorities in the state government, and you keep them informed that what you are doing, what are the results, what more forces you want, what more resources you want, and how and when you will be able to control the situation. Keep them abreast of the situation. Use social influence to cause a change in attitude. Now, social influence could be, say for example, you call upon the leaders of the society, the elders from the society, or the celebrities that are there in the society. You can also use social media to cause a change in attitude. You run some sort of awareness ads or programs or campaigns through which you can reduce the impact of the pandemic. This is the right course of action. Now, you must also incorporate, or you should back this from the ethical standpoint. So the first that you can say is, say for example, Socrates called for justice. So you can highlight that by doing so, you are maintaining justice. Similarly, W.D. Ross talks about duties, is a deontological scholar, and he talks about there are some prima facie duties and there are some actual duties. Prima facie duties are the different options that are available to you, and the actual duties, which action will you would take. You can include Carol Gilligan, the feminist ethicist, her ethics of care, and how you care for a particular section of the population. You can also include leaders like, say, Martin Luther King Jr. and what is the value he attached to human dignity. You can include that kind of thing. You can also include St. Thomas Aquinas' doctrine of double effect. Doctrine of double effect in very simple terms says that the good should not follow from the bad. It means, like suppose you are removing the section of the population from that area and you are saying that COVID is controlled. It means you have hurted human dignity to bring peace. That is wrong as per the ethics of St. Thomas Aquinas, who gave us the doctrine of double effect. So Socrates, Ross, Carol Gilligan, Martin Luther King Jr., St. Thomas Aquinas. You can include other scholars as well, like Gandhi, Vivekananda, etc. We have already talked about Aristotelian golden mean and the deontological theory of Immanuel Kant. So you can understand that Kant, say for example, speaks of a principle of universality, wherein he says that you do only such actions which you want to become universal actions. In the fourth action, where you were just passing the ball to your senior, do you want that to become a universal action, that whenever there is a problem, everyone should pass the ball to the senior, and so all the problems will go to the supreme authority every time? This will not create a good society, and therefore that action was wrong because it was not satisfying maxim 1 of Immanuel Kant. Also, as per maxim 2 of Immanuel Kant, you should treat a person in end in himself and not a means to achieve some other higher end. So highlight the stakeholders, highlight the values, and obviously when you are discussing this, you can bring in the values to suit as per your steps. I have not included the values in here so explicitly because you can go for any other approach as well. So as per your answer, you should select your values. The ethical dilemma that is there in place in this case, then the different actions, the merits and demerits, you can make a table and you can put it simplistically, and then the right course of action. इस पे आपके नंबर ज़्यादा बनते हैं क्योंकि सबको पता है कि 4 एक्शन वही करना है, नहीं करो, कर लो, भाग जाओ या कुछ और कर लो. So you can understand that this is what you will ultimately do is what gives you marks. Clear? And only when you can create a good, logical, coherent chain. It makes sense, and you can back them with the moral thoughts and moral philosophies. So that's it as far as the case study